breaking news coming out as the U.S. has just attacked. This coming out today, and we had heard warnings that this was the final warning from the United States and 13 other nations, and it looks good. Looks like they made good on that warning, as we've received word, articles coming out left and right, that today, Thursday, January 11th, 2024, they have just attacked. Now, here's a headline coming out that says, U.S., Britain carry out strikes against Houthis in Yemen, officials say. In addition to that, U.S. and U.K. carry out strikes against Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen. They're saying this is a massive attack, unlike what we have seen so far in response to the United States. And they're saying that those that wanted to see a more aggressive approach, well, they're getting it. This is pretty intense, and they're wondering what is going to be the response back. Have things just intensified with the U.S. in the Middle East? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Are we going to be seeing them respond back very aggressively? Is the United States about to enter into war with Iran? If you think so, let me know your thoughts. Put a 1 in the comments. If you think no, we can stave off war with the United States entering into a conflict, put a 2. But this could be this next step for the United States entering into war. I'm starting to see ones already coming into the comments, as we're seeing that this is actually several nations responding back, tired of what has been going on. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the latest. And as you know, all these articles that I'm going to be referencing, they are cited in the description below. So let's go ahead and dive right in. But before we do me a quick favor. If you appreciate the updates, the live breaking news updates, be sure to smash that like button for me. I see that we've got 1,323 people live with me right now. It's the middle of the night. It's almost 10 o'clock at night, but saw this breaking news coming out of these attacks taking place. Please smash that like button. If I could get half of the room to do so, I would appreciate it. Can we get it up to 700 with almost 1,400 people live with me right now? I just need about 350 more likes. In addition to that, if this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. I'll keep you up to speed on everything. And in addition to that, if you want to stay connected off of social media platforms, we have heard that there could be cyber attacks against the United States that could compromise communication systems, including social media platforms. Be sure to join me at steveramnews.com. And there we're going to be having a newsletter going out, keeping you up to date on everything. And should that take place this year, as we've heard warnings of what could unfold, you'll be able to stay in contact at steveramnews.com. Now, let's go ahead and dive into the latest. Now, this is an article. I've got several different ones here, but the first one I'm pulling up is coming up from CNN Politics. That says the United States and the UK, they have carried out strikes against Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen. This literally coming out in the past hour. Now, this article says that the U.S. and the U.K. militaries, they launched strikes against multiple Houthi targets in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen on Thursday today, marking a significant response after the Biden administration and its allies. They had warned, and I shared this with you just a couple days ago, that they said this was the final warning to them, that things would intensify, and it looks like they made good on that warning. They warned that Iran-backed militant groups, they would bear the consequences of repeated drone and missile attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea. Now, President Joe Biden said he ordered the strikes in direct response to unprecedented Houthi attacks against international maritime vessels in the Red Sea. And I shared with you guys as well the responses we saw. They said for every 10 attacks against U.S. troops in the Middle East, there was only one U.S. response. It was a 10-to-1 ratio. And a lot of people saying that the response from the United States and these other nations was weak and that they needed to step it up. And it looks like they just have. So we're going to be seeing what the response is as these attacks have just taken place. And they're saying they were fairly significant, very aggressive, unlike anything we've seen so far from the United States. And I saw a lot of 1s. I also saw a lot of 2s, as people are saying this is the appropriate response. We will likely not enter into war with Iran, but we've also seen a lot of people saying this could be the next step. Now, here's a quote. Today, at my direction, U.S. military forces, together with the United Kingdom and with support from Australia, Bahrain, Canada, and the Netherlands, successfully conducted strikes against a number of targets in Yemen used by Houthi rebels to endanger freedom of navigation in one of the world's most vital waterways, the president said in a statement released by the White House today. So this was carried out by the orders of President Joe Biden. Biden added that he will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people and the free flow of international commerce as necessary. The strikes are a sign of the growing international alarm over the threat to one of the world's most critical waterways. Now, for weeks, the U.S. had sought to avoid direct strikes on Yemen because of the risk of escalation in the region, already simmering with tensions as the Israel-Hamas war continues. But the ongoing Houthi attacks on international shipping compelled the coalition to act. And that's what we had heard, was that they were responding very carefully because they did not want things to intensify and just grow to an all-scale war. But what we're hearing is that it looks like they responded back. They finally said, we've had enough of all of these attacks from these rebel groups that are backed by Iran. And they said, this is your final warning. If you do this again, you will be attacked and you will suffer the consequences of doing so. And it looks like the United States just made good on that warning. Now, though the U.S. has carried out strikes against Iranian proxies in Iraq and Syria since the outbreak of the war in Gaza, this marks the first known strike against the Houthis in Yemen themselves. The strikes were from fighter jets and Tomahawk missiles. More than a dozen Houthi targets were fired upon by missiles fired from air, surface, and sub platforms, and were chosen for the ability to degrade the Houthis' continued attacks on vessels in the Red Sea, a U.S. official told CNN. And I think that this is probably going to be sending a message. All of these rebel groups sending these attacks backed by Iran, and the U.S. hitting them by land, air, and sea as well, all at the same time, letting them know, do you really want to go down this route with the United States? Because when we hit, we will hit you hard. Now, they included radar systems, drone storage and launch sites, ballistic missile storage and launch sites, and cruise missile storages and launch sites as well. Now, I don't know why it just said the same thing over and over right there. The USS Florida, a guided missile submarine that crossed into the Red Sea on November 23rd, was part of the attack on Yemen, according to the second U.S. official. Like the surface ships that participated in the attack, the sub-fired Tomahawk land attack missiles, the official said as well. A senior military official told reporters on Thursday evening that he could not provide an exact percentage of Houthi assets that were destroyed in the strikes, but that it was significant. He added that precision-guided munitions were used to destroy the targets and also to minimize collateral damage. We were absolutely not targeting civilian population centers. We were going after very specific capabilities in very specific locations with precision munitions, the official said. Now, Tuesday attacks the final straw. So as I mentioned a couple days ago, we had received warnings from the United States, and they're saying that Iran had crossed the line. And so now they responded back. And this is pretty incredible news. And again, I had asked everybody to put a 1 that thought that that we were going into the next step with an escalation of war with the United States and Iran, that we would be entering in. And I'm still seeing 1s coming in. And I put 2 if you think that we're going to be able to avoid a war with Iran. And I'm still seeing 1s pouring in right now, as a lot of people are saying that this could be escalating things. But at the same time, it's just kind of like you need to respond back. We're getting hit over and over and over. And it's like, there needs to be a message sent. A lot of military experts saying that we cannot allow the United States to be bullied like this. We need to send an aggressive response that lets them know, do you really want to go down this route with the United States? Now, Tuesday's attacks were the final straw. Now, I see we've got 1,670 people in the room with me live. Do me a favor, if you're just hopping on, catching this breaking news of the attacks that just took place, smash the like button if you appreciate the updates. We're almost got 1,000 likes. Can I get 60 more people to hit the like button? And also, if you want to stay up to date, please hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. I'll keep you up to speed on everything. Now, the attacks that took place on Tuesday were the final straw. The Houthi attacks on Red Sea shipping on Tuesday marked the final straw, and this came after that warning from the United States that culminated in Biden giving the green light for the United States to move forward with Thursday's strikes. Though preparations have been ongoing for some time, a senior U.S. official told CNN. Now, the strikes come as the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, remains hospitalized following complications from a surgery from prostate cancer. A senior defense official said Austin ordered and monitored the strikes in real time from the hospital with a full suite of secure communications. So he actually did this from the hospital, ordered out these strikes to take place. Over the course of the past several weeks, Biden has weighed potential strikes against Houthi positions in Yemen against the prospect of an escalating crisis in the Middle East. So again, wanting to be very careful about the response, not just hitting really hard without taking into consideration the ramifications of what might unfold with war in the Middle East with the United States. His underlying hesitancy in ordering direct action has been the potential of getting drawn into more directly with the expanding conflict, a scenario the U.S. officials believe could ultimately be Iran's objective. So they're saying they might actually be trying to egg on the United States, trying to provoke war with us. So the U.S. is not trying to be enticed into responding back rashly. But the White House had made clear the repeated Houthi attacks on international shipping lanes in the southern Red Sea were intolerable. The attacks have forced some of the world's largest shipping companies to avoid the waterways instead of adding thousands of miles to international shipping routes by sailing around the continent of Africa. Hours before the strike on Thursday, Pentagon spokesperson Major General Pat Ryder said Iran has a role to play in getting the Houthis to stop their reckless, dangerous, and illegal activities. If they did not, he said, there will be consequences. Wow. So even more warnings coming out from the United States from major generals that there will be more consequences to pay if they do not take care of this. If this continues on, it's going to be getting more aggressive from the United States. Now, the Houthis, an Iran-backed Shia political and military organization that has been fighting a civil war in Yemen against a coalition backed by Saudi Arabia, have been launching drones and missiles at commercial shipping vessels in the Red Sea for weeks, many of which have been intercepted and shot down by the U.S. Navy ships in the area. Now, the Houthis' deputy foreign minister, Hussein al-Ezi, claimed that Yemen was targeted in a massive aggressive assault. In a speech on Thursday, Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi said that any U.S. attack on Yemen will not go unanswered, cryptically warning that the response will be much more than attacking U.S. ships in the sea. Wow. So receiving threats from Yemen now as well. So also keep in mind the fact that just one of these nations, they're all linked together. So there's Yemen, Jordan, there's Iran, all of these different ones that are saying they're giving warnings now saying that they might actually respond back to the United States. And they're threatening the United States. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think it's very interesting to have some of what some people might consider some of these smaller nations in the Middle East actually having the audacity, the goal to threaten the United States, to try to provoke us into war. A lot of people saying that they feel like these other nations, they have been emboldened as they say that it seems like the United States keeps getting attacked and we have weak responses back. But now this aggressive response coming, and now also more threats coming from the Yemen as well. Now, a senior military official said that the Pentagon has thus far not seen any sign of retaliatory actions by the Houthis as of Thursday night so far. So they were just hit today. The United States did this attack by land, air, and sea. Very aggressive attack back, and they're saying so far no response. A senior U.S. administrative official signaled that there could be more actions to come against the Houthis as well. So the United States might also do further attacks. Now, this may well not be the last word on the topic, the administrative official said. And when we have more to say and more to do, you will hear from us. Now, U.S. warned of consequences. Now, on Thursday, today, U.S. Secretary of the State Anthony Blinken warned while traveling in the region that if it doesn't stop, there will have to be consequences. And unfortunately, it has not stopped. So they're saying that there is more to come. Blinken also said that he doesn't believe that the war in Gaza is escalating into a regional conflict, even as he warned of a lot of danger points. Now, while in the region, Blinken visited Bahrain, home of the U.S. Naval Forces Central Command and the Navy's Fifth Fleet. An important aspect of Blinken's trip to the Middle East was to tell regional leaders that if U.S. takes military action against the Houthis, it should be seen as defensive, not escalatory, according to the senior State Department officials. So sounds like they already had this plan. They were going around warning that if attacks took place, we are simply defending ourselves. This is not us escalating tensions in the Middle East. So going through this week, making these warnings, and then the attacks taking place today, Thursday. Now, on Wednesday, the United Nations Security Council passed a U.S. and Japan-led resolution condemning, in the strongest terms, the at least 24 Houthi attacks on merchant and commercial vessels since November 19th of 2023, and demanding that the Houthis immediately cease all such attacks. 11 countries voted in favor of the resolution. 4 abstained, including China and Russia. A Western diplomat told CNN that the U.S. accommodated some of China's requests on the language of the resolution. Now, U.S. strikes in Yemen are not unprecedented, according to the Council on Foreign Relations. The U.S. has conducted nearly 400 airstrikes in Yemen since 2002. Now, in Yemen, officials say that there are concerns at what a strike against the Houthis would portend for the region. Declassified U.S. intelligence shows that Iran has been deeply involved in coordinating the Houthi attacks on commercial and merchant ships. So they're saying Iran is to blame, including providing information about shipping vessels passing through the waterways. Among the U.S. concerns about taking direct action inside Yemen is also the risk of upsetting a carefully brokered truce in the war in Yemen between the Houthis and Saudi Arabia, which the U.S. officials previously told CNN the Biden administration considers one of its most significant foreign policy achievements. Now, there are concerns about a prolonged conflict, and we've received warning from Israel letting us know this is not going to end. We heard that the U.S. could potentially withdraw their support from Israel. We had heard that they had about 3 weeks, which was till the end of the year. The new year is here, and the U.S. is still supporting Israel at this time. So it looks like, it's kind of up in the air. Will the U.S. continue to support Israel? And they've been putting pressure. We actually heard in a speech recently from President Joe Biden while he was in South Carolina, some people interrupt the speech shouting ceasefire now. And he actually responded back and said, I'm actually at this time pushing Israel to stop. However, we got a response back from the nation of Israel saying, prepare yourselves for a long drawn out war. We are nowhere near the end of this. And they're actually planning to rotate troops in and out, letting people know they are preparing for several months more of war, that this will not stop anytime soon. Now, some American officials feared a direct attack on the Houthis in Yemen would be precisely what the group craved, drawing the U.S. into direct engagement with the Iranian proxy group and potentially committing its forces to a more prolonged conflict. Still, Biden's attempts at deterrence had done little to prevent the Houthis from continuing their attacks on commercial and merchant ships transiting the Red Sea. Now, a significant turning point came around New Year's when the U.S. Navy helicopters shot and sank 3 Houthi boats in self-defense, ending the lives of those aboard. It was the first direct engagement between the United States and the Houthis since the start of the conflict, and prompted Biden to convene his national security team for a secure briefing call while he was on vacation in the U.S. Virgin Islands. That joint statement was issued on January 3rd. So that was just about a week ago, saying that the Houthis will bear the responsibility of the consequences should they continue to threaten people's lives, the global economy, and the free flow of commerce in the region's critical waterways. Now, this again, I let you know, they said was the final warning. While not describing the statement as a red line, Biden and his team recognized the language would essentially bind them to a more forceful response should the Houthi attacks continue, which many officials privately believed that they would. Now, just hours after the joint statement was released, the Houthis launched an unmanned surface drone against commercial shipping lanes. So calling the United States on that warning. So the United States literally let out a warning, and they said just hours after, the Houthis respond with an attack saying, okay, let's see what you're going to do, the United States. Now, and on Tuesday, in one of the largest Houthi attacks to date, 3 U.S. Navy destroyers, a Navy FA-18s from the USS Dwight Eisenhower, and a UK destroyer, the HMS Diamond, shot down 21 missiles and drones that were attacking. There were no ships damaged by the attacks and no injuries reported. A senior administration official told CNN that Biden directed his national security team to carry out strikes on Houthi facilities in Yemen following the missile barrage. The official said the attack was directly targeting a U.S. commercial vessel with U.S. military vessels alongside of it. Biden directed Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to carry out the response, which led the strikes on Thursday evening. So again, you guys, I feel like, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Put a 3 if you think that this is the correct response. Put a 4 if you think no. But after reading this and seeing that literally after they gave a warning that you need to stop, hours after launching a barrage of missiles on the United States, I feel like this is the accurate response. We cannot let this take place. They're basically just saying complete disrespect for the United States. And I believe that we need to make sure that we carry this out. We protect our troops, protect our people, and let it be known that if you're going to attack the United States, that is unacceptable. We will respond back. And we actually gave several warnings. The ratio of attacks is for every 10 attacks in the United States, 1 response. And I think that this is something that was long overdue. And we actually heard this from a lot of military experts for the United States, saying that the responses were too weak, and dealing with these groups in the Middle East, that they will only respond back to an aggressive hit or a retaliation, that if we do not respond, they're just going to continue to attack. And so far, they said this aggressive response that took place just today, a couple hours ago, this response, they're saying, so far, they have not seen anything from the Houthis and from Iran in response to what took place. Now, Yemen, as I mentioned, said that there will be consequences, and they're threatening the United States as well. But we will see. And I saw a lot of people saying that they think that this is going to lead to a greater conflict with the United States. But we will see. We will see. Now, I will keep you up to date on everything. Now, it also says there have been at least 27 Houthi attacks since November 19th, as the U.S. and its allies, they have been navigating the Houthis' ongoing attacks. There have also been 131 attacks on the United States and coalition forces in Iraq and Syria since October 17th, leading to several strikes on facilities linked to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and other proxy forces. Just last week, the U.S. targeted a member of the Iranian proxy group, Harakat al-Nujbah, who an official said the U.S. That there was attacks that took place from him on the United States. There's some things that I can't say on YouTube, but many of the commercial vessels have had no connection to Israel. Vice Admiral Bradley Cooper, the commander of the U.S. Navy Central Command, said last week that the U.S. assesses 55 nations have direct connection to the ships that have come under fire. So also, these rebels that are Iran-backed, they're actually not just hitting the United States, but they're disrupting 55 different nations. So several different nations very upset with what's going on. And finally, the U.S. stepping up and taking aggressive action, responding to this. So this just coming out today, and we will see what the response is. I'm suspecting that tonight and going into tomorrow, there's going to be a whole lot more news coming out on this as to what is going to be the next move of the United States and how will these other nations in the Middle East respond to this. So I think the next 24 hours, there could probably be some more updates. I'll keep you guys up to speed on all of this. And again, do me a favor. I see we've got 1,700 people live in the room with me. Smash the like button if you have not yet done so. I appreciate it. It just helps spread this out further so more people can get the breaking news update of what took place today. Hit subscribe to stay up to date, and also to stay connected off of social media platforms. Don't forget, join me at steveramnews.com for that newsletter, just in case social media platforms are compromised. 99 Modo says they are not ready for the smoke. Let's see here. Unpredictable. We always play nice and then surprise, says Peter Hook. Yes. So far, the United States has been very lax in their responses, but now pretty aggressive response today, and we're going to see if things intensify. A lot of people saying this could be the next step to some serious war, but we will see. We'll see how the United States responds. This is prophecy in the Bible, says Warrior for Christ. Yeah, wars and rumors of wars, and definitely right now, a lot going on. Upinya says like button, thumbs up equals like. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yes. Wow, we've got 1,600 people in the room and almost the same amount of likes. So I appreciate the support, you guys. I will continue to keep you up to date on everything. Make sure that you guys know exactly what's taking place. Diana Laughlin says, now what? Well, Diana, and for those of you that are hopping on a little bit late, We are getting breaking news coming in that in the past couple hours, the United States has struck back a level of which we have not seen so far. And a lot of people are saying that this could escalate the tensions. Headlines coming out left and right. U.S., Britain carry out strikes against the Houthis in Yemen. Very aggressive response back. U.S. and the U.K. carry out strikes against Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen. The U.S. and the U.K. militaries launched strikes against multiple Houthi targets in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen on Thursday today, marking a major significant response after the Biden administration and its allies warned, and I let you know when we saw that video that it was the final warning, they said, that the Iran-backed militant groups, they would bear the consequences of repeated drone and missile attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea. Now, that was a couple days ago. Then they said literally, after the United States said, this is your final warning, they said just hours after that, the Houthi rebels responded by shooting a barrage of missiles at United States vessels and different assets, and they shot them all down. And then they said after that, they sent Anthony Blinken to all these different groups and let them know if we respond back, this is defensive. It's not escalation. And then today, 48 hours later, a massive strike by land, air, and sea, they said, by the U.S. on these Houthi rebels in Yemen. And we have not yet heard a response because this is the most aggressive response that we have seen from the United States in the Middle East. We have not seen a response yet from these nations, from these groups. We have not heard from Iran yet. I'm sure we will probably hear something in the next 24 hours. We have not heard from the Houthis, but we have heard from Yemen saying there will be consequences for the United States doing this. So more threats coming from the Middle East against the United States. And I did a poll in here asking if people thought that this was the right response. And there were so many ones, everyone saying it is about time that the United States give an aggressive response back and not get bullied by these little rebel groups and these other groups in the Middle East, sending a message. Do you really want conflict with the U.S.? Because hitting them very aggressively by land, air, and sea simultaneously. And a lot of people dropping those ones in the comments. Some people put two, saying, that this was not the right response, or that, we could still avoid war, but people saying this is right. This is an aggressive response. We're probably going to end up in war. We will see. Like I said, though, I will keep you guys up to date on everything. So that is what's going on. Again, all articles linked in the description below, so that way you can go ahead and check them out for yourself if you're interested. But you guys, that is the latest. And like I said, we'll probably see more on this coming into going into the night and coming up in the morning. I'll keep you guys up to date. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve. Oh, Stephen Irvin, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. You are awesome. Thank you so much. I'll keep you up to speed. Good to hear some accurate news. He says, you are very welcome. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I'll continue to keep you up to date. And also for all of my supporters, the channel members, you guys, also these articles will pop up in your YouTube feed right after I end this live. But again, thank you guys so much. Have a blessed night. I'll see you tomorrow. This is Steve.